Every single person they sent to watch you came back more broken than when they left. They thought they were signing up for easy work, but instead they stepped into a battlefield they couldn't survive. And now they're trembling, whispering, "I didn't sign up for this. I want out." That's the sound of defeat, chosen one. That's the echo of the very same people who once swore they'd monitor you, study you, dissect your every move, now begging for release from the very deal they entered. Their assignment wasn't supposed to end like this, but the universe made sure it did. Now imagine this for a moment, chosen one. Imagine a group of people lining up like soldiers, trained to keep watch over you as if you were some enemy of the state. They believed they were about to crush you, that keeping tabs on your life was going to hand them the keys to their victory. But the moment they looked too closely, the moment they stepped into your energy, it was like staring into the sun without protection, blinding, burning, unforgiving. They weren't prepared for the light, the intensity, the resilience that radiates from you. And so they staggered back, not stronger, but scarred, not successful, but haunted. That's the metaphor for what you've done to them, simply by existing, by being unshakably you. And here's the fact, chosen one that can't be denied. Throughout history, those who attempt to surveil and suppress the strong always end up losing themselves in the process. Think about the secret police in crumbling empires. Think about the spies who lost their minds, staring too deeply into the lives of the very people they were trying to trap. The human psyche is not built to monitor greatness without being damaged by it. It's like trying to hold fire in your bare hands. You're the flame, chosen one, and they're the fools who thought they could handle it. They thought they could survive the assignment, but the assignment has consumed them instead. And thank you, chosen one, for being here. Don't forget to pay this message back by simply pressing the like and subscribe to help spread this truth to more souls. It's not just content. It's a mission, a force that we are all a part of. Each click, each share is a ripple of light against the darkness. So thank you, chosen one, for choosing to stand in that force with me. You are part of something greater, and together we're amplifying what the universe has already set in motion. Now, let's return to the battlefield we're talking about, because this is where the story unfolds. They wanted to monitor you, but what they didn't realize is that watching you meant confronting themselves. Every attempt to spy on you was a mirror shoved in their face, showing them their weaknesses, their insecurities, their failures. They came looking for cracks in your foundation, but instead found themselves shaken to the core. And the more they tried, the more traumatized they became, because they weren't prepared for the truth. You've been walking away from drama while they've been drowning in it. You've been building yourself in silence while they've been collapsing in noise. The irony is delicious. These people thought they could break you by sending others to watch, but the watchers became the broken ones. It's like hiring someone to walk through a haunted house, expecting them to report back with courage, only for them to come screaming out the door, traumatized beyond repair. The haunted house was never you, chosen one. It was their own soul, their own intentions bouncing back on them like a cruel echo. The universe used your presence, your resilience, as the mirror to expose their shadows. They thought they'd be the predators, but instead they've become the prey to their own schemes. And you know why, chosen one? Because you're protected by alignment. You have chosen to leave behind the petty wars, the gossip, the drama. That very act of stepping away created a wall they couldn't penetrate. When they tried to invade your peace, they found only silence, and silence is the most terrifying sound to those who thrive on chaos. Your silence exposed their noise. Your discipline revealed their disorder. Your resilience highlighted their weakness. This is why they can't keep up. This is why they're traumatized. They sit in rooms now, whispering amongst themselves, "Nobody told us it would be like this." Some of them even admit, "We weren't supposed to get hurt." But they did, because playing with your energy is like trying to wrestle the ocean. The waves don't care how strong you think you are. They will drag you under if you don't belong there. And these people never belonged in your waters, chosen one. They entered your current unprepared, and now they're choking on salt. And here's another truth to seal this in. The universe never lets injustice go unanswered. Every time they tried to monitor you, to block you, to create chaos, the law of cause and effect was activated. It's science, not opinion. Energy cannot be destroyed, only transferred. Everything they threw at you bounced back harder, sharper, and faster. That's why their lives are unraveling at the seams, while yours is being stitched together in divine precision. They wanted out of the deal not because they felt pity, but because they couldn't take the pain that came with messing with a chosen one. This is the introduction, chosen one. This is the reality check. You are not just surviving, you are the battlefield itself, and every person they send to monitor you will come back scarred by the lesson the universe teaches through you. They thought they could watch you, but watching you means being confronted by everything they're not. And that's a torment their souls cannot bear. And chosen one, stay locked in with me, because what you've just heard was only the opening strike. That was the warning shot. The real war story is just about to unfold. Are you ready to see how every single person they sent to monitor you came back traumatized and begging to escape? If you're truly walking this path, drop the number 777 in the comments to confirm that you already know their plans can't prosper against you. And if you can, bless this mission with a super thanks. Your support fuels the spreading of this light and keeps this truth moving forward. And now, let's step into it, piece by piece. Believe me when I say, if you are truly a chosen one, you will feel the pull to stay with me until the very end of this message. Because what's coming next will not just explain why they want out of the deal, it will expose the very core of their downfall. Let's begin. Number 1. The monitors came back shaken. The eyes that came to watch you are now the same eyes that can't sleep at night. They came thinking they were hunters, but they left shaking like prey. Chosen one, that's the truth of what's happening. Every single one sent to spy on you, to stalk you, to drain your energy, returned broken, haunted, and disturbed. They thought they would find weakness, but instead they ran into the very wall they could never climb, you. They thought they could quietly monitor your steps, but it was their own steps that got tangled, their own minds that turned against them. That's the irony of trying to monitor a chosen one. You don't leave with information, you leave with trauma. Now imagine this, chosen one. Imagine being sent into the lion's den with nothing but empty hands and a promise that it will be easy. They thought you were soft prey, a vulnerable soul they could manipulate, a simple assignment. But the moment they stepped into your presence, it was like stepping onto a battlefield where the air itself felt heavy, charged, unforgiving. They were not ready for the weight of your energy. They were not ready for the silence that spoke louder than their gossip, for the resilience that stared back at their schemes without a flinch. What they didn't understand is that monitoring a chosen one is like staring into the sun. Stay too long, and your vision is permanently damaged. And here's the fact, plain and undeniable. When you carry the kind of presence chosen ones carry, you don't need to fight loudly to defeat someone. You defeat them simply by existing. Look back at history. Think of Harriet Tubman, who was hunted and watched, yet every time those who tried to stop her came close, they ended up rattled, defeated, exposed. Think of Malcolm X, watched day and night, but each report filed against him only testified to his strength. Think of Joan of Arc, a young woman monitored by powerful men who thought they'd break her, only to be left haunted by the fire of her conviction. Chosen ones always leave their enemies shaken, not because they plan it, but because their very essence dismantles deception. So why do these people return traumatized? It's because every attempt to watch you forces them to confront what they lack. They peer into your life looking for cracks, but all they see is someone who refuses to bend under pressure. They thought you'd be an easy case file, something predictable, but instead you mirrored back all of their shadows. They went in expecting to observe your weakness. They came out realizing their own fragility. That's a trauma that no amount of excuses can heal. And some of you might be asking yourself right now, but why me? Why would they even bother watching me so closely? The answer is simple. Chosen one, you are a disruptor. Your existence alone threatens systems built on lies, manipulation, and control. They monitor you not because you are weak, but because your strength exposes their illusion. People don't waste time watching someone who poses no threat. Nobody sets up surveillance on the powerless. The very fact that they sent eyes to track you proves what you already know deep down. You are powerful beyond measure. Think about it. When great trees grow tall, storms rage hardest against them. Nobody bothers to uproot weeds, and you, chosen one, are no weed. You are the oak tree whose roots terrify them, whose growth cannot be stopped. That's why they sent watchers. But when those watchers leaned in, instead of seeing decay, they saw expansion. Instead of seeing doubt, they saw determination. And that terrified them more than anything else. You see, the role of the chosen one isn't just about surviving. It's about reflecting truth so clearly that those who oppose you can't bear to look. And that's exactly what happened when they monitored you. Their own lies, their own brokenness, their own fragile masks came crashing down in your reflection. You became the mirror they could not shatter. That's why they came back shaken, because you reminded them of what they will never be. Now, let's hit them harder with this truth. Chosen ones have a way of making the enemy destroy themselves without ever lifting a finger. It's psychological warfare at its highest form. They stalked your social media, hoping to find cracks, only to see you glowing in your authenticity. They spied on your routines, hoping to find laziness, only to discover you grinding quietly, day after day. They tried to drain your energy, but your energy was too abundant, too overflowing, turning their attempts into self-inflicted exhaustion. They left more drained than when they came, because you don't just survive energy theft. You make thieves choke on what they tried to steal. And if you wonder whether this is just coincidence, here's another fact. Even in military psychology, it's proven that those tasked with constant surveillance often experience more trauma than those on the battlefield. Why? Because staring too long into someone else's life without resolution fractures the mind. That's exactly what's happening here. They've been forced to stare into your light, and the longer they stared, the more their shadows consumed them. That's why they can't even function properly now. That's why they're whispering, "I want out." Chosen one, let this sink in. You didn't just traumatize them with your words or actions. You traumatized them with your presence. You traumatized them with your persistence. You traumatized them with your refusal to break. And that is the sweetest justice. They expected to report back with your downfall, but they reported back with nightmares. They expected to return with stories of your weakness, but they returned broken, carrying the weight of their own defeat. And let me tell you something powerful. Every great soul in history has left their enemies shaken. When Nelson Mandela walked free after 27 years in prison, do you think those who monitored him weren't shaken? They had to face the reality that he came out unbroken, stronger, more determined than before. When Jesus walked through betrayal and crucifixion, do you think the spies and accusers weren't shaken to their bones when they realized they couldn't kill his truth? That's the mark of being chosen. You don't have to win battles the way others do. Your very survival, your very resilience is the battle won. So the next time you feel eyes on you, remember this. Those eyes may be staring, but they are breaking with every glance. The more they watch, the more they unravel. You are not the victim of their surveillance. You are the storm they cannot endure. They are the ones leaving traumatized because they thought watching you would be simple, but it ended up shaking the very ground beneath their feet. And the most ironic part, they thought the deal was theirs to control, but it's the universe that signed the contract. And the fine print reads, "Touch not the chosen." That's why they're begging out of it now, because no contract, no deal, no alliance can hold against divine protection. So hold your head high, chosen one. You didn't just walk through this. You conquered without moving. You made them tremble without trying. Every monitor, every spy, every stalker sent your way returned with the same story. I can't do this anymore. That's the power of being chosen. That's the gift of walking in alignment. And that's the curse of your enemies. They can't stand in your presence without being shaken to the core. Number 2, the broken promises among them. Their tongues wrote checks their souls could never cash. Chosen one, that's exactly what happened when they made promises against you. They sat in dark corners, whispering oaths, shaking hands on deals that were built on lies. They swore that if they worked together, if they aligned against you, victory was guaranteed. But promises made in shadows never hold under the weight of light. And now, those promises are breaking like glass. Those who swore loyalty to each other are turning their backs. Those who were promised reward are left empty-handed. What they thought was a sure win has turned into their sure downfall. Now imagine this, chosen one. Imagine a group of thieves planning a grand heist. They hype each other up. They set expectations. They split rewards before they even touch the vault. You'll get this much. You'll have that title. When we're done, everything will be ours. But when the night comes, the vault is empty. The alarms are blaring, and they're scrambling for their lives. That's exactly what happened here. They promised one another glory if they could stop you. But when they went up against you, they didn't find treasure. They found terror. They didn't walk away rich. They walked away ruined. And here's the fact, chosen one, broken promises always create chaos. Studies in psychology show that when trust is broken, the human brain reacts as if it has been physically wounded. That's why betrayal hurts so deeply. It literally registers in the body as pain. Now multiply that across a whole alliance of people who promised each other success at your expense. Their camp isn't just messy, it's bleeding, it's fractured, it's collapsing under the weight of lies they told each other. They told one another, "Don't worry, this will be easy. We'll handle it. You'll get your share. Just stick with me." But how do you split a reward that never arrives? How do you hold each other up when the foundation beneath you is quicksand? They can't. That's why they're pointing fingers now. That's why they're restless, pacing, angry. The deals they made weren't just unfulfilled. They backfired. Somebody got hurt in the process. Somebody lost everything. And now, the very ones who swore loyalty to each other are whispering, "I want out." Chosen one, you need to hear this. They never had true loyalty in the first place. Loyalty built on jealousy and greed is no loyalty at all. It's just temporary convenience. They didn't promise each other success because they believed in each other. They promised each other success because they thought tearing you down would be profitable. And when the profit didn't come, when the universe blocked their path, when their attacks boomeranged back into their own lives, they had nothing left to hold on to. Their oaths weren't sacred. They were contracts of convenience, and those never last. Think of history again. Think of Benedict Arnold, who promised loyalty to both sides, selling secrets for personal gain. His name became forever stained because betrayal leaves scars that time cannot erase. Think of Julius Caesar, surrounded by senators who promised allegiance only to stab him in the back. Broken promises create not only chaos, they create collapse. And your enemies, chosen one, are living through that collapse right now. They've become their own Caesar's assassins, turning on one another because the deal they signed was doomed from the start. And maybe you're asking yourself, why couldn't they just keep their promises? Why did it fall apart? Because, chosen one, promises made in hate can never produce fruit. It's like planting seeds in poisoned soil. No matter how much they water it, no matter how much they expect it to grow, it can only rot. They promised each other results that were never theirs to give. They promised each other power over you, but you're not theirs to control. They promised each other your downfall, but your rise was already written. It was impossible for them to keep their word because the universe never signed off on it. This is why the chaos within their camp is so loud now. Someone is angry because the reward never came. Another is bitter because they lost something precious in the process, a job, a relationship, their own peace of mind. Another is whispering, "You lied to me. You said this would work." They're snapping at each other because betrayal breeds paranoia. The very thing they tried to plant in your life, division, loss, and distrust, has now become their reality. Their promises shattered, and now their alliance is shattered with it. And here's where the beauty lies. Chosen one, you didn't have to lift a finger. They did this to themselves. You kept moving in silence, leaving drama behind. And while you walked forward, their camp fell apart. They wasted their energy promising each other power while you invested your energy in growth. And look at the results. Their power is in ruins, while your foundation grows stronger every day. Let's not forget the irony of it. They promised each other that you would break, but the only breaking that's happened is within their group. They promised one another riches, but the only wealth they see is slipping into your hands. They promised each other satisfaction, but now they're restless and dissatisfied, unable to sleep, unable to trust, unable to find peace. Their promises didn't just fail. They turned into curses that boomeranged back on their heads. Think of this metaphor, chosen one, A spider spins its web, confident that it will trap prey. But what happens when the prey escapes and the web instead collapses onto the spider? That's what happened with their promises. They spun a web of deceit, but you walked free, and now they're the ones tangled in the strands of their own lies. The web that was supposed to hold you has become the trap that's choking them. And don't underestimate the power of this moment. When promises break in an alliance, the whole structure collapses. Armies have lost wars because of one broken promise. Kings have lost kingdoms because one oath wasn't kept. And your enemies? They're not just breaking promises, they're breaking each other. They're whispering, they're fighting, they're pointing fingers, because betrayal is contagious. Once one person realizes they were lied to, the infection spreads. Soon, the whole camp is sick with distrust. Chosen one, let this empower you. You don't need to fear the promises they make against you, because the only thing guaranteed is that those promises will collapse. Why? Because nothing built against truth can stand. Nothing formed against alignment can prosper. Their promises were written in sand, and the tide of the universe has washed them away. So let them make their oaths, let them whisper their deals, let them sign contracts in the dark, because every promise made against you carries within it the seed of its own destruction. And as those seeds sprout, all they'll harvest is chaos, loss, and regret. That's the fate of those who plot against the chosen. Their own words become their downfall. Remember this as you walk forward. While they break promises to each other, the universe keeps its promise to you. The promise of protection, the promise of guidance, the promise that no weapon formed against you shall stand. Their promises are broken glass, yours is unshakable stone. And in the end, chosen one, that's why they're falling apart, while you continue to rise. Number 3. Refusing to fall for red flags. The trap only works when the prey ignores the signs. Chosen one, that's where you crushed them. They built their schemes on the assumption that you would be blind, naive, desperate for approval, desperate for love, desperate for validation. They painted the red flags bright and bold, thinking you would still walk straight into them. But instead, you did what they never expected. You trusted your instincts. You saw the patterns, you listened to the whispers within, and you walked away before their trap could ever spring. That single act, that refusal to ignore the signs, shattered their power over you. Now imagine this for a moment, chosen one. Imagine a hunter setting a snare in the woods, baiting it with food, convinced that the animal is too hungry to resist. He waits, smirking, believing he's already won. But the animal stops, sniffs the air, notices the unnatural bend in the grass, the wrong scent on the rope, and turns away. Do you realize the fury in that hunter's heart? He wasted his time, his energy, his confidence, and all because his prey was too wise to fall for it. That's exactly how they feel about you. They thought you'd be gullible, but you were alert. They thought you'd be desperate, but you were disciplined. And here's a fact you need to remember. The average human brain is wired to recognize danger faster than opportunity. Science calls it negativity bias. Our brains are designed to notice threats more quickly than rewards. That's survival instinct. You, chosen one, mastered it. While they dangled rewards and false promises in front of you, your inner compass lit up and screamed, "This isn't right." And instead of silencing that voice, you obeyed it. That's why you're here today, rising, while they're left furious, powerless, and caged by their own designs. You might wonder, but why does my refusal make them so angry? Because, chosen one, the moment you walk away, you expose the weakness of their schemes. Manipulators thrive on willing participants. A red flag ignored is their victory, but when you refuse, you force them to face their failure. You prove that their power was an illusion all along. That's why they rage, that's why they spread lies, that's why they call you difficult or arrogant. Because you showed them that their games can't reach you. So hold your head high. The universe is with you, guiding your instincts, sharpening your discernment. Every red flag you avoided was the universe whispering, not this way, not this person, not this trap. And every time you listened, you took a step closer to your destiny. Leave them to their anger, leave them to their failed games, and focus on your path. Because, chosen one, your refusal to fall for red flags didn't just protect you, it destroyed them. Number 4. The sickening aftermath of their mistakes. They thought they were signing contracts for victory, but what they really signed were contracts for their own destruction. Chosen one, this is the aftermath you're witnessing. The universe is delivering receipts. Every deal they made, every alliance they signed, every whisper spoken against you has turned into poison in their own system. And now, they're not just troubled in their minds, they're restless in their spirits, sleepless in their nights, even sick in their bodies. Their own choices are haunting them, like shadows that won't leave no matter how fast they run. Now picture this for a moment. Imagine someone playing with fire, laughing, thinking they're invincible. They toss sparks around, confident nothing will touch them. But soon the sparks catch on their own clothes. The fire doesn't burn you, chosen one. It engulfs them. That's exactly what's happening here. They thought they could use you as the fuel for their schemes, but they only lit themselves on fire. That's why they're pacing the floors, nauseous, paranoid, unable to rest. Their bodies are carrying the weight of the choices their souls regret. And here's the fact. Studies have shown that guilt and betrayal don't just stay in the mind, they manifest in the body. People who live in constant deceit often suffer headaches, stomach pains, insomnia, even heart issues. Their nervous system becomes their punishment. That's why they look drained, older, sickened. The mistakes they made against you weren't just bad decisions, they were health hazards, and the universe made sure every ounce of that energy stayed with them. Maybe you ask, but why does it haunt them so badly? Can't they just move on? The truth is, they can't, chosen one, because the universe won't let them. You don't touch a chosen one and walk away untouched. You don't plot against light and expect to stay clean. Every deal they took, every lie they agreed on, carries a karmic weight, and now it's pressing down on them like chains. They wanted quick rewards, but what they got was slow torment. So understand this, their sickness is not random, their agitation is not coincidence. It's the aftermath of trying to play games with the divine order. They wanted to profit off your downfall, but instead they destroyed their own peace. And now the question that eats them alive is this: was it worth it? Deep down, they know the answer. Absolutely not. Number 5. Warnings they ignored. The universe whispered, then it shouted, and when they still refused to listen, it struck. Chosen one, that's the reality of your enemies. They were given warnings. The signs were clear, undeniable, and loud. Leave this one alone. But arrogance is blinding. They thought the rules didn't apply to them, that somehow they could outsmart fate itself. Instead of backing off, they doubled down, calling in reinforcements, recruiting others into their schemes. They mistook patience for weakness and warnings for empty threats. Now they're watching their alliances crumble like towers built on sand. Think about it for a moment. Imagine a driver ignoring every red light on the road. At first, they think they're lucky. They speed through, laughing at the laws, proud they haven't been caught. But the more they ignore the signs, the closer they get to a head-on collision. That's what happened here. The red lights were flashing. The warnings were everywhere. But they pushed forward until the crash was inevitable. And chosen one, you're not the one in wreckage. They are. Here's a fact. In every culture, history shows that those who ignore divine warnings meet the harshest downfalls. Pharaoh ignored Moses' warning to let the people go, and his empire drowned. Leaders throughout history ignored advisors who told them to tread carefully, and they lost kingdoms. Even in psychology, we know ignoring warning signs in relationships, businesses, or health leads to disaster. That's what your enemies are living now. They've run straight into the wall of their own ignorance. And maybe you ask, but why would they keep going if the warnings were so obvious? Because, chosen one, pride is louder than wisdom. They thought numbers would save them. They thought forming alliances, pooling energy, and creating groups would protect them. But the universe doesn't count numbers. It weighs truth. And when truth was placed on the scale, their alliances had no weight. That's why they're collapsing from the inside out. What was once a group united against you is now a pit of finger-pointing, backstabbing, and betrayal. So let this empower you. You didn't need to fight them head-on. The universe already fought for you. Their downfall is proof that the warnings weren't empty. They were invitations to mercy, and they spat on them. Now mercy is gone, and all that's left is judgment. Chosen one, never doubt this. When the universe says, leave this one alone, it means it. Number 6, the collapse of their alliances. They thought unity and darkness could overpower light, but darkness always devours itself first. Chosen one, that's what you're witnessing right now, the collapse of their alliances. The same groups that once stood shoulder to shoulder against you, chanting their lies, plotting their moves, are now breaking apart at the seams. What held them together wasn't loyalty or love. It was mutual greed, shared hatred, and promises of reward. And when lies are the glue, betrayal is inevitable. Now picture this. Imagine a ship built not with steel, but with rotten wood. At the harbor, it looks strong, painted beautifully, sails lifted high. They all board with confidence, cheering that they'll reach their destination. But as soon as the storm comes, the wood cracks, water rushes in, and panic spreads. That's their alliance, chosen one, rotten from the start. It only took time for the storm of truth to reveal the weakness in its foundation. Now, the crew is scrambling, blaming each other, trying to abandon ship before it sinks completely. Here's a fact that seals it. Research into group dynamics shows that groups built on manipulation and lies collapse faster than those built on trust. Without a foundation of truth, cohesion turns into chaos. That's exactly why their circle is falling apart. The lies that once united them are now the very daggers in their backs. The false promises they made to each other, promises of money, status, or victory over you, were never fulfilled, and nothing destroys loyalty faster than disappointment. And maybe you wonder, but why does their betrayal feel so dramatic? Why are they turning so hard on each other? Because, chosen one, people who betray will eventually betray each other. If they were willing to gang up on you, it was only a matter of time before they turned on one another. The same manipulations they used on you are now being used against themselves. Their allies feel drained, deceived, and disposable. Some of them are whispering, "I want out. I didn't sign up for this." And that's the greatest proof of their downfall. They can't even keep their own people loyal anymore. So lift your head high, chosen one. You didn't need to fight their alliances. You just needed to keep walking in truth. Lies can't hold hands for long. Manipulation can't maintain unity. And what you're seeing now is the natural order, the collapse of alliances that were never real in the first place. Their foundation is crumbling, and you're still standing. Number 7. The entity they summoned turned on them. They thought they could weaponize darkness, but darkness never serves. It only consumes. Chosen one, this is where their arrogance meets its consequence. In their desperation to stop you, some of them called on energies they didn't understand, shadows they couldn't control, entities that promised power but always demand payment. They thought they were summoning something to weaken you, but what they really did was sign themselves into bondage. And now, that very force they invited is haunting them, feeding on them, and demanding a debt they can never repay. Now imagine this, chosen one. Picture someone unleashing a wild beast, pointing it in your direction with confidence. But instead of attacking you, the beast turns around and mauls its master. That's exactly what happened here. The energy they sent, the manipulation they cast, the darkness they invoked. It couldn't touch you because you're aligned with the universe. So where did it go? Straight back to them. Now their nights are sleepless. Their homes are heavy. Their spirits are restless. They don't control the chaos anymore. The chaos controls them. Here's a fact. Even in spiritual traditions worldwide, from ancient Africa to Asia to native cultures, it's known whatever energy you summon must eventually be fed. If you call darkness, it doesn't vanish when you're done. It demands more. It lingers, it attaches, it drains. That's why they look hollow, broken, haunted. They didn't just play with forces, they signed contracts with them, and contracts in the unseen are not so easily cancelled. And maybe you ask, but why didn't it work on me? Why didn't the darkness land where they sent it? Because, chosen one, you're protected by alignment. Your light is covered by the universe itself. The frequency you operate on makes you untouchable to their schemes. So when they aimed their weapons, it was like shooting arrows at the sun. Nothing landed, everything burned back. And now the very tools they used are shackles on their own souls. So let this empower you. You don't need to fear what they summon. You don't need to tremble at their rituals or their words. The universe has already flipped the script. What they called forth to destroy you is destroying them instead. Their chaos has become their cage. Their entity has become their enemy. And while they're devoured from the inside out, you keep rising untouched. Number 8. Your energy is off limits. They used to drink from your well, but now the well is sealed, and they are dying of thirst. Chosen one, that's the truth of this moment. For so long they thought they had access to you, your energy, your spirit, your aura. They poked, they pried, they spied. They convinced themselves they could read you like an open book, predict your moves, and manipulate your path. But the universe closed that book, slammed it shut, and locked it away. Now every attempt they make to tap into you comes back scrambled, distorted, useless. Your energy is off limits, and it's driving them to madness. Now imagine this for a second. A thief who always sneaks into the same house every night, stealing food from the pantry, confident the door will always be left unlocked. One day, the locks are changed, the windows sealed, alarms installed. The thief returns, starving, desperate, and finds nothing. That's exactly how they feel. They thought they could drain you whenever they pleased, but now you've cut them off, and without your light to feed on, they're left in darkness, twitching and restless because their supply is gone. Here's the fact. Studies in neuroscience show that people can become addicted not just to substances, but to energy exchanges. Narcissists and manipulators thrive on reactions, attention, and the emotions of their targets. When that access is denied, their brains literally panic. Their cortisol spikes, their dopamine crashes, and their entire system goes into withdrawal. That's what's happening to them now. You didn't just walk away, you sent them into energetic detox, and it's eating them alive. And maybe you wonder, but why does it bother them so much? Why can't they just move on? Because, chosen one, you were their power source. Their false confidence came from thinking they could tap into your energy, leech off your light. Without you, their masks slip, their strength crumbles, their alliances fall apart. And the worst part? They know it. They know you've blocked them spiritually and physically, and that realization leaves them powerless. So take this as confirmation. Your boundaries are your protection. The universe fortified your walls because your path is too sacred to be spied on any longer. Let them scream, let them claw, let them lose sleep trying to figure you out. They'll never get in again. You've become unreadable, unreachable, untouchable, and that, chosen one, is the very thing driving them insane. Number 9. They tried to profit from your downfall. They wanted to turn your downfall into their payday, but the universe turned their payday into their punishment. Chosen one, that's the irony of it all. They thought betraying you was a shortcut to success. They whispered in back rooms, "If we bring this one down, we'll all rise. If we block their path, we'll take their rewards." They were ready to profit off your pain, to cash in on your collapse. But instead of wealth, they found ruin. Instead of power, they found loss. What they thought would be their gain has now become their heaviest curse. Now imagine this. A gambler puts his last coin on a bet, convinced the odds are in his favor. He brags to the table, already dreaming of riches, already planning how he'll spend the winnings. But when the cards flip, his hand is worthless, and the dealer sweeps everything away. That's what they're living right now. They gambled their peace, their loyalty, and even their souls against you, and lost it all. The jackpot they thought was guaranteed has left them bankrupt. Here's the truth. History proves this pattern again and again. Those who try to profit from another's suffering end up destroyed by their own greed. Think of Judas, who sold out for 30 pieces of silver, yet couldn't live with the price of betrayal. Think of corporate scandals where leaders sabotaged others for status, only to end up in prison or ruin. Even psychology confirms it. Betrayal may feel rewarding for a moment, but the guilt, shame, and karmic backlash always outweigh the gain. That's why your enemies look restless, broken, and empty. And maybe you're asking yourself, but why did they think betraying me would work? Because, chosen one, they underestimated your protection. They thought your light was easy to steal, that your blessings could be rerouted, that the universe would allow them to feast off your portion. But they forgot one eternal truth. What's yours is yours. No deal, no betrayal, no alliance in the dark can take it away. They tried to eat from your plate, but the universe flipped the table and left them starving. So let this motivate you. Their loss is your confirmation. Every coin they thought they'd gain has slipped through their fingers. Every ounce of power they tried to steal has become their burden. They didn't profit from your downfall, because there was no downfall. You rose, chosen one, and they collapsed under the weight of their own betrayal. The universe saw to it that their greatest gain became their greatest loss. Number 10. Watching you rise while they fall. They built traps to slow you down, only to watch you sprint past them. Chosen one, nothing terrifies them more than seeing you rise while they fall. They expected you to stumble, to trip over the lies, to drown in the betrayal. They counted on delay being your defeat, but instead your resilience became your engine. Every obstacle only sharpened you, every setback turned into fuel. Now, while they're spinning in circles, stuck in cycles of failure, you're climbing ranks they never thought you'd touch, and the speed of your ascent, it's breaking their minds. Imagine this for a moment. Two runners begin a race. One cheats, slipping oil on the other's lane, convinced it will cause disaster. The gun fires, and the chosen one stumbles, but doesn't stop. Instead, they adjust their footing, grow sharper, more focused, and the cheater, laughing at first, soon realizes they're out of breath, out of strength, while the one they tried to sabotage is pulling ahead, faster than ever. That's the reality. They're exhausted, you're accelerating. Here's a fact. Studies in resilient psychology prove that people who endure setbacks early often surpass those who never faced resistance. Why? Because struggle builds adaptability, while comfort breeds weakness. They thought throwing hardships at you would end you, but it actually built you into someone they can't keep up with. Every attempt to delay you was the universe training you, shaping you into someone unstoppable. And maybe you ask, but why do they care so much about my rise? Why can't they focus on themselves? Because chosen one, your rise is their mirror. Every level you reach shines a light on their stagnation. Every step forward you take exposes how stuck they are. They can't hide from it. You're the living proof that their schemes failed. Your resilience is a reminder that they have no excuse for their cycles of failure. That's why they're restless, angry, bitter. Watching you rise is watching their own downfall play out in real time. So stand proud, let them choke on the dust of your progress. They wanted delay, but the universe gave you acceleration. They wanted failure, but the universe made you untouchable. And now, as you keep moving forward, leveling up, ranking higher, they're left behind in their own wreckage. Remember this, chosen one, your rise isn't just your victory, it's their torment. Number 11. They turned you into a beast. They tried to break you, but instead they built you into the very beast they now fear. Chosen one, this is the ultimate irony of their warfare. Every insult, every betrayal, every scheme was designed to weaken you. They wanted you fragile, insecure, crawling through life with no fight left in you. But all they did was forge iron out of your soul. What was meant to shatter you became the very hammer that molded you into something untouchable. And now, every time they see you, they're staring into the nightmare they created with their own hands. Now imagine this. Blacksmiths place raw metal into fire, pounding it relentlessly, heating and striking until it takes shape. To the untrained eye, it looks like destruction, like the metal is being tortured. But in truth, it's being strengthened, refined, transformed into something greater than before. That's you, chosen one. Their fire didn't destroy you, it refined you. Their blows didn't weaken you, they hardened you. And now, when they swing again, the sparks only bounce back, while you stand unbroken. Here's the fact. Psychologists have a term called post-traumatic growth. It describes how some people, instead of being ruined by adversity, rise stronger because of it. They gain deeper wisdom, resilience, clarity, and power. That's your story. They threw trauma your way, hoping it would silence you, but instead it activated something ancient in your spirit. They didn't create your strength, but they unlocked it, and now they regret it with every breath. And maybe you wonder, but why would they keep attacking if they can see I only grow stronger? Because, chosen one, arrogance blinds them. They thought repeated blows would eventually wear you down, not realizing every strike was turning you into something they could never control. They didn't expect you to alchemize pain into power, betrayal into boundaries, rejection into resilience. You became a beast, not because you wanted to, but because they forced you into it. So here's the truth. You are now their greatest mistake. They built a nightmare they can't wake up from. Every lie they spread fuels your truth. Every obstacle they place becomes your stepping stone. Every attempt to cage you only expands your wingspan. They turned you into something beyond their reach, a force that consumes every weapon they throw, leaving them empty-handed, terrified, and defeated. Chosen one, remember this. They didn't just fail to destroy you, they created the very storm that's now consuming them. And so, chosen one, we arrive at the aftermath. Look around. Their reward is nothing but chaos, shattered alliances, empty pockets, broken oaths, and nights that feel like prisons. They wanted your end, but instead, they scripted their own downfall. You, however, walked away with peace, honor, and blessings that multiply daily. This is your confirmation. You were never the victim, you were always the victor. And thank you, chosen one. Don't forget to press like, subscribe, and drop the number 77 in the comments to seal this message. Share this light forward, because together we carry the mission higher.